Welcome traders, I'm Adam Harris and this is your weekly overview. So I want to have a look first of all at the major economic news that is scheduled for this coming week. Again, the markets are still very much sensitive to anything related to inflation, any signs of a recession, anything to do with jobs, anything to do with cost of living. And so starting with a Monday, for example, out of the UK, we've got the composite PMI, services PMI. So we want to see ideally that those have either stayed the same or if there's any small drops in that. In the US at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we've then got ISM non-manufacturing PMI as well. So again, the same thing here. This is where I would expect some volatility on those individual currency pairs and crosses of those pairs. But this week, there shouldn't really be any massive surprises. The only one that I'm really going to be looking at here will be the Canadian dollar. Is the Bank of Canada's interest rate decision. And really, the Canadian dollar right now is very, very weak. So there's been some incredibly great trends for trend traders in line with across almost all of the cross pairs in line with that. And so I'm curious to see how that will potentially impact those. We're now a bit overextended. We need a bit of a correction. I'm curious to see what's going to happen there. And that's the one I'd be very cautious of. Very likely, as a general rule, like to stay away from having any open exposure in the markets during these news events, just because we can never really predict how the market's going to react to them. Just to come back to Tuesday. So Tuesday, it'll be early morning. It'll be in the very early hours of the Tokyo session, before we even get to the London session. We'll have the Royal Bank of Australia's interest rate decision. So again, it looks like they're intending to do a rate hike there, and that should increase some volatility. We usually, in those cases, we would get to see the Australian dollar strengthen a bit. It's a bit weak at the moment compared to the New Zealand dollar, but I'm curious to see again what will happen there. So again, there's going to be some movement there. Then, of course, as I said, Wednesday we're going to have the Bank of Canada's interest rate decision. Then when we hit Thursday, we get the initial jobless claim. So again, this is to do with the US, to do with unemployment claims and jobs. So again, we want to see if there's a surprise number there as well. But overall, the current trend right now is the dollar seems to be calming down, inflation seems to be coming back under control. And so the real question is this just a blip or is this the new trend? In other words, are we going to keep going this way? Technically, the charts are indicating that that is the case. They're indicating that we shouldn't have any surprises between now and January. It should continue, or at least let's just say for this week. For this week, it's not expecting any big surprises. And Friday, we finish off with PPI numbers coming out of the US month on month. And overall, I'm not expecting any massive changes in trends. Maybe some increased volatility or some major spikes here, but that's about it. Then moving on to in terms of either earnings or IPOs, we've got some earnings this week. I'm really going to be focusing, say, for example, the Ashtead Group on Tuesday. I really only tend to focus on billion-dollar companies up and above market cap. We've got Campbell Soup on Wednesday. GameStop, of course, sounds familiar, rings a bell. And then we've got Costco on Thursday. Costco's a big one. We've got British American Tobacco. We've got Lululemon. These are brands that you should be familiar with. And a new one that's been working its way up the ranks that's doing really well is DocuSign on Thursday. Those are kind of the really big ones that most people are likely to be engaging in. And those are the ones I just want to see what happens with that. So day traders usually make sure that they're not exposed in those stocks overnight so that they don't wake up with any surprises, whether it's to the upside or the downside the next day. But those are ones where I think it's reasonable to expect there could be some. Ideally, most of these will just go with the trend. There won't be any big shocks over there. In fact, big shocks here would be underperformance by a big number. For example, Facebook Meta having, a surprise outcome where it's really underperformed and then seeing a massive gap down of 50 points or something, for example. I'm not really expecting that with any of these, but always the one that's been very volatile, for example, has been GameStop. And really, that's it from me. So we have what appears to be a week filled with a lot of different opportunities in line with the existing trends, and the existing trends currently are against a weaker dollar, meaning that we're seeing euro climb, gold climb, equities climb. All of those are looking more bullish than bearish, and I'm expecting, aside from normal natural retracements and pullbacks, I'm expecting most of those to maintain those trends. All right, so I'm going to wish you a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you in future videos, and have a great week. Thank you.